Hey, I'm making a reply to Juche Revolution because he made a response to my video. Now, we'll try and go through his points one by one. Um, I've already covered some of this stuff, but I'm just going to go through it again simply to set the record straight because some of the things I don't know what your real name is, so I guess I'll just have to call you Juche Revolution. Um, some of the things you're saying is just disingenuous. Firstly, in your info on your video, you say that my video was about you. Well, don't flatter yourself, it wasn't about you. About 70% of that video was about the missile test. And if you look at the title of my video, that's actually what it says. It doesn't say, like, this is a response to Juche Revolution. Um, Most of the video was about the event, not about you. I did mention you in the end, about 30% of the video, you and your channel, because I knew you would have something to say to my video. So I simply preceded what you would be saying, which has proved to be accurate because you did reply to my video. so, um, a few points that I'd like to make in your little analysis of what I was saying. Now, when you touched on the issues I was raising about human rights, you completely glossed that over. I thought you were going to talk about it, but then suddenly you deflected and you started talking about America. You come out with things. This is very, very predictable for people on the far left. You always, always, always deflect, and it is always about, well, what about this? What about that? Right. This is the thing. When I, as you call me, a reactionary, I'll take that as a compliment from a communist. But when I criticize your channel and why I criticize North Korea, I'm not doing so from the position of an American neocon. And it says something about the narrowness of your thinking that you would assume, and this applies to your supporters as well, that you would assume that anyone who has a different point of view must be a conservative or an apologist for the American government. I've made over 1,000 videos and I've had a lot of strong words to say about the American government. Now, you mentioned what's happening in Flint. Well, that's one of the very few areas we're going to agree. I think it's pretty terrible what's happening in Flint. I followed some of Michael Moore's work, for example, and he's raised concerns about this. Um, but this lazy characterization that you want to make of me, that I'm a reactionary, therefore I must be an apologist for America, it's just laziness on your part, and it demonstrates a narrow thinking. It really does, because you and your supporters say that I don't respect your opinions and that I want to silence dissent. I'll come to that in a minute. But what are you doing? You're labeling anyone who doesn't agree with you as a reactionary, as an apologist for America, as an apologist for Britain. For your information, I actively protested against the Iraq War. I believe that was morally wrong. So, if you're trying to portray me in a certain way, you're going to fail. You're going to fail miserably because it's a false characterization. Now, you are disingenuous because you're not telling the truth about North Korea. You're just not. To say, for example, that there is freedom of expression in North Korea is factually wrong. Because what we see, North Koreans praising the regime, that's not free choice. It really isn't. They've got no choice over the matter. These are people who have no access to the outside world. They don't know any better. You can't tell me that that is free expression. It's not. The worst thing about your position is that I think deep down you know this stuff. So, that's, to me, makes your position all the more abhorrent. The fact that you know what I'm saying is true. You know it. Um, there's a few other things I'd like to say, and I'm going to round up soon. I don't want to make this too long, but you talk as if you are a PR man for Pyongyang, right? You talk about it being a wonderful paradise where everything is perfect, and you hail all the benefits of its free healthcare and so on, except you ignore the fact that this is all concentrated in Pyongyang and their carefully selected citizens. You ignore the fact that North Korea faced one of the worst famines of modern times. You ignore the Stalinist gulags. I doubt you'll talk about that because you'll just deflect and try talking about America once again. Um, because you know what I'm saying is true. You just know it. And I don't know whether it's pride on your part or I don't know what it is, but basically all the points you come out with are disingenuous. Now, as for your friends going to North Korea and being fine and being awarded and so on, I should specify that what I was talking about is, I forget his name now, but there was a young American who went to North Korea, very much like you, a Kim apologist and basically sycophantically worshipping the Juche regime. He went there, and that's precisely what happened. He was arrested and treated as a spy. I'm talking about those who settle there. I'm not talking about those who visit North Korea, because I know there's a difference with that. But the truth is, North Korea has a very powerful neighbor. You know what I'm talking about, China. So the truth is, China has to rein in on North Korea sometimes. I believe the regime is insane, but insanity doesn't mean stupidity. As for this so called satellite test, look, the fact of the matter is, about once a year or every few years, North Korea likes to flex its muscles. But there is a fundamental point to all of this, and that is that your fundamental philosophy is that North Korea is right and the rest of the world is wrong. Now, it's one thing attacking the West and saying the West is full of it and all the rest of it, but are you saying that China and Russia are wrong as well? Are you saying Japan and South Korea and pretty much everywhere is wrong when it comes to North Korea? That's just nonsensical. And I think any reasonable, practical minded person would concede that. I have to say a few quick words about Latinamerican. I came across your channel. Um, a few things that you accuse me of being, well, you accuse me of making ad hominem attacks on Juche Revolution. I don't deny that. I have made personal attacks because I believe his views are abhorrent. I have never said that he's not allowed his views. I never made that point. I have said that he's a hypocrite for using YouTube, which is an American company, yet he's so vociferously anti American. Now, that's a hypocritical position to take. And I think any reasonable person could see that. So I'm not going to apologize for pointing out the hypocrisy of him and you. Um, all I'm saying is practice what you preach. If you really have so much conviction, then practice it. As for ad hominem attacks, well, you were doing exactly the same to me. This thing about being in the Orange Order, well, you hear my Northern Irish accent and you automatically assume I'm in the Orange Order? How narrow is that? I'm not in the Orange Order. I don't have any time for the Orange Order. Um, Northern Irish standards, I'd be considered liberal because I had Catholic friends, for the record. So, you know, that just is an own goal, basically. You're accusing me of making ad hominem attacks, which which is, it's a deflective claim because it's ignoring all the points I'm making, but you're doing exactly the same yourself, Latina American. Um, so really, you guys just, you're astonishing. But a final point. I'm going to wrap this up soon. I'm aware your video is only 3 minutes, so I'm trying to make it balanced out to that. If North Korea, if the DPRK is really the great free paradise that you claim, how can you explain the personality cult? Why is it that you believe Kim Jong Un or the Marshal or whatever it is you call him is divine? How can you explain that? If people are really free thinking, if you are really free thinking, how do you explain this blind, sycophantic, unconditional, lavish support for the man? Now, to me, that's pure subservience. So I'm going to round it up there. I really have nothing else to say, and to be quite honest, I guess I've broken my own pledge. In the last video, I said I wasn't going to bother with you, but I'm only replying to this because you replied to my video. So, um, yeah, I meant what I said. I feel sorry for you. I really, really, really do, because to be so narrow in your thinking, to be so slavishly, slavishly in a state where you're cheerleading this regime, I really, I'm not going to insult you because I know that will backfire, but I mean when I say I do feel sorry for you, because you're going to grow up a very bitter and lonely young man if you continue like this. Sure, there'll be other far left figures who will support you, but all I'm going to say is that when you live in a country like the UK, and you know this, we can make YouTube videos about whatever we want. That gives you the freedom to be a cheerleader for North Korea. Now, when you say that North Koreans have free speech, you're lying, and you know that you're lying. And to me, that just sums up everything that you represent: disingenuous, supportive of this hideous regime. I mean, you and your supporters emphasize etiquette a lot, but you're not exactly polite to anyone who has a different point of view. Insofar as, I mean, you've labeled me a reactionary. In communist China in the 1960s, that sort of claim would have got me lynched. So it's not a light thing. I don't care, by the way, but I'm just making the point that, again, you're hypocrites. Um, I'm done with your channel. I'm not going to watch it anymore because I find it totally astonishing. It can be entertaining at times, but you know. Make of this what you will. I really couldn't care less anymore. You guys are astonishing, to be quite honest. You can call me an American, an apologist for America. I think I made it clear in this video that I'm not, but whatever. I'm really, really am done with this right now. So I wish you all the best. I sincerely feel sorry for you, and you know, I really just hope that you will live by your conviction. When you can afford it, you'll go there. The Yuch system is never going to happen in this country. Never. It just won't happen. So I don't really see the point. If I was in your shoes, I wouldn't want to stay here because it would be everything that I'm against. So, you know, just do yourself a favor and go there when you can afford it.